The election results are in. The Patreon vote goes to Skyfire 10-minute testing!
Oh, dang it! Good afternoon, jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-minute testing. In case you missed it, this week has been an unmitigated disaster in America. I speak, of course, about my monthly Patreon-funded 10-minute testing, from which the voters have selected Flying Fortress Skyfire in Edison. Listen, sometimes the voters just don't know what they're doing. Presenting whatever the hell this is.
What the hell is that?
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, let's just keep going. So with that, let's slide into Skyfire. Flying Fortress Skyfire is a monster that has vexed me for the better part of a half-decade. This is the boss of the Reactors, a series of monsters I'd wager you've literally never encountered in your entire life. The end boss is just good enough that I keep wanting to make it work, but it ain't easy. The only way to summon this monster is to use SK, a 5-star, 2000 attack monster, to voluntarily wipe your own board of two other, worse guys. There's a synchro that seems to cheat out Skyfire, but don't get too excited because this card doesn't work. Despite saying ignoring the summoning conditions, you still have to properly summon Skyfire once, so we're not going to be able to cheese out the boy and his rocket penis. Instead, we're going to play these cards in a Dark Creator deck. Ideally, we can banish all the monsters for the Creator and Dad, return them back, make the big man, and hit for $1 billion. You may be realizing this means the deck will have to be in a position to win the game in order to continue winning the game, but harder? Let's not let a little thing like game theory stop us now, okay? So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, the Flying Fortress Skyfire. Can't be normal summoned or set, has to be special summoned with the effect of SK, and once per turn can send a card from your hand to the graveyard to destroy a card your opponent controls. Once during each of your opponent's turn, you can activate one of the following effects. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can destroy it and inflict 800 to them, or when your opponent sets a card, you can destroy it and inflict 800. Next up are the pieces. Summon Reactor SK, 5 stars, 2000 attack. The first time a monster is summoned to your opponent's side of the field each turn, they take 800, and during the battle phase of the turn this effect is activated, you can negate the attack of a monster your opponent controls. It can send a face-up, Wi-Fi, RE, and this face-up card to the graveyard to summon Skyfire from the hand, deck, or graveyard. We're playing 3 copies of I-Fi. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a trap card, you can destroy the trap and inflict 800 damage to your opponent, and 2 copies of RE. Listen, you probably should be playing 3 apiece, but I have to draw the line somewhere. RE says once per turn when your opponent activates a spell card, destroy the spell card, and they take 800. After that, we've got 3 copies of the Dark Creator and 1 copy of Dark Armed Dragon, Gores, triple Armageddon Knight to bin the pieces, triple Mystic Tomato, a Sangan, a Black Salvo, a Plague Spreader Zombie, and triple Raikou. We're playing 1 Magic Planter for our 2 limit reverse. We've got Allure of Darkness, Heavy Storm, Reinforcement of the Army, and Charge of the Light Brigade. Then we've got Fake Explosion, which can be activated when an opponent's monster declares an attack. Monsters can't be destroyed by this battle, and after damage calculation, you can summon an SK from your hand or graveyard. That's right, hand or graveyard. Not deck, hand or graveyard. Finally, we've got Bottomless Trap Hole, Limit Reverse, Call the Haunted, and Return from the Different Dimension. In the extra, we've got the usual suspects, nothing particularly interesting. And then in the side, we've got some Sidras, some T-Kings, DD Crow, Lightning Vortex, Brain Control, Book of Moon, Raigeki Break, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, and Starlight Road. So with that, let's... I don't know. Games, right? Games. Let's do games. Our first match is up against Blackwing, and this hand looks okay, mostly because we only have 1 of the pieces in our grip. That way we can trick ourselves into thinking we're playing something better. Ooh, wow, a Tomato. Maybe there's a Crusher Control build happening here. We're going to go Tomato into a copy of Tomato as our opponent lands a Sirocco the Dawn, setting 2 and passing. We'll draw for turn. There's an SK. They're going to trap Dust Shoot, and wow, they didn't take a piece. Probably because it doesn't matter. We're going to go for the Tomato here. We're going to use the effect to grab a copy of Sangan, and theoretically that can get us all 3 pieces. We'll go Sangan here in order to grab a Black Salvo, set 1 and pass. Maybe play a little bit of Summon Reactor SK Beatdown. Our opponent's going to MST the set card. Thankfully, Limit Reverse Chain means we're going to be able to proc the effect of the Sangan. We will do just that, and we'll use the Sangan to grab a copy of Raikou. Our opponent's going to set 2 and neglect to walk over the SK. Maybe they think there's a Reactor hand trap we don't know about. We're going to go for the Dad here. They're going to Compulse it, which is not that big of a deal because now we can go Combat and Crash. They will Mirror Force to protect their monster. Okay, let's Dad the other back row. Great, now we're in a position where we can actually win this thing. Let's normal summon a Wi-Fi and pass back to our opponent. They'll draw for turn. it's a Vayu. They'll normal the Vayu and crash into the Wi-Fi. That's annoying. They'll activate the effect of the Vayu in main phase 2 in order to make Armed Wing. That is going to be dad food momentarily. We'll normal summon a copy of Black Salvo. We'll activate the effect. We'll summon back the Wi-Fi, and then we can synchro summon a copy of Black Rose Dragon. Get over for nothing. Nothing at all. It's just going to force out a Kalut from the hand. Let's go ahead and eat that monster on our opponent's side of the field and then pass turn. They'll draw a Bottomless a little too late. We'll draw for turn. What do we find? An Armageddon Knight. Let's go for Dark Arm Dragon with the SK targeting the back row, and Armageddon Knight. Let's go ahead and mill a copy of the Spell Reactor. We're in a position where a drawn copy of Return from the Different Dimension would win, but what would also win is our existing board. Our opponent draws a Black Whirlwind. They'll just pass here, and we do have it. I guess we'll play around Gores a little. Let's go to the battle phase, hit for 14. Okay, looks like we've got it. Our second match is up against Lightsworn, and if we can't beat a Lightsworn pilot who has opened 2 copies of Wolf and a Necro Gardna, we gotta hang it up. Our opponent will draw for turn. It's a Royal Decree. They're gonna activate Recharge, pitching a Wolf, and then passing their turn. That's the classic Lightsworn move. We'll flip summon this Raikou. We'll activate the effect, mill a couple of cards, then tribute summon a Summon Reactor SK before passing back to our opponent. They'll draw for turn and probably go for this Heavy Storm. Makes sense. They'll eat our entire back row, set 1 and pass. We'll draw for turn. It's another Summon Reactor SK. Awesome. We'll go for the Spell Reactor and pass back to our opponent, who will draw a Jane. They're gonna normal summon the Jane. We will SK in order to deal 800 to them, and they will pass turn milling 2. Afterwards, we'll draw for turn. It's a Call of the Haunted. Let's normal summon a Black Salvo. We'll use the effect to get Wi-Fi, and guess what, buddy? It's Summon Reactor SK time into Royal Decree. No big deal for us. We're bringing out the Skyfire effect. We're going to pop that Royal Decree, set 1, and get over the Jane. No respect for Honest whatsoever. Our opponent's going to draw for turn. It's another Wolf. Oh my god, we could do this until I see the JD. Okay, we can send that to the graveyard using the effect of Flying Fortress Skyfire, but guess what? The effect damage will proc the effect of the Gores. They can summon the Gores. They'll then go for the effect of this monster reincarnation. We will summon Reactor SK. They'll go to the battle phase to walk over that. Then in main phase 2, they'll summon back the JD, pay 1,000, and wipe the board. Okay, well, this is terrible. They're going to mill 4, and we'll draw for turn. I don't know what we're accomplishing with the Summon Reactor SK, but maybe this Raikou will change things. We'll pass back to our opponent. They're going to go for JD again, taking another 1,000, and then normal summoning a Necro Gardna. They'll go for Plagues into Catastor before getting in for, you know what, let's just go next. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and oh god, so much going on in this one. Don't want to see the Flying Fortress Skyfire in the hand, don't want to see 2 Spell Reactors, and don't want to see our opponent on a deck that actually does something. This is Vayu Turbo. They're going to pass back to us. Okay, Raikou's a pretty good draw, I'm not going to lie. They will draw for turn and probably sense the Raikou coming. They're going to go for the Super Nimble Mega Hamster into Raikou, then activate Charge of the Light Brigade, milling 3 and adding a Raikou of their own. It's Caius time. They sniff out the Raikou, and they are correct. It gets banished, and we take 2,400. They'll go ahead and pass turn. I don't know what you really want me to do with this hand. I guess we'll normal summon a Mystic Tomato and walk into the Caius. That allows us to use the Mystic Tomato to get a copy of Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight can send to the graveyard a copy of Plagues. Main phase 2, we can activate the effect of the Plagues in order to summon itself, which makes a Brionac, and we can Brionac, pitching our entire hand to put everything else back into the grip. Okay, well, at least we've slowed them down. We'll set 1, and our opponent will draw 7 cards to our 2. They'll go for a Reinforcement of the Army, then go for Dark Greffer. Dark Greffer probably wins the game here because they can go for Caius. Caius effect, eat the back row. We will chain Bottomless, but guess what? In the graveyard now is a Vayu. They will use its effect to go for an Armed Wing and get in for 23, to which we have no immediate response. They'll set 1 and pass turn. That is not going to do it. Okay, let's go ahead and set the Spell Reactor and hope for the best. Our opponent's going to go to the battle phase and walk. Thankfully, this thing does not have Piercing because it was made with Vayu. We'll draw for turn. Okay, Rhoda's something. We'll go for Rhoda. That's going to grab us an Armageddon Knight. We're going to normal summon the Armageddon Knight. We're going to send from deck to graveyard a copy of SK, go to the end phase. Our opponent's going to draw for turn, and ooh, Sirocco might be it. They'll flip up Raikou, use Raikou, and we'll concede. So it's time for game 2, and, well, the hand looks better than it did. We'll draw for turn. We're going to go for this copy of Allure of Darkness. We're going to go ahead and banish an Armageddon Knight, then fire for the Charge of the Light Brigade for a Raikou, set the Raikou, and pass turn. Our opponent draws for turn, and they're probably going to set up a Raikou of their own. That Charge of the Light Brigade coming in hot with a Raikou. They're going to set 1 card, not the Raikou, to, I don't know, I guess, trick us. We'll go for Raikou, targeting the set card. It's Vayu, and then we'll go for SK, set 1, and pass. I'm feeling okay about this one. Our opponent's going to go ahead and set 2. We will draw for turn. Okay, that's not nothing. We'll flip up Call the Haunted, targeting the Spell Reactor RE, then we'll normal summon the Efi. We'll go for the Skyfire, and then we'll activate the effect of the Skyfire, eating the monster. It's a Raikou. We'll just pass turn here. Our opponent's going to draw, and then afterwards they're going to pass. I'm feeling really good about our chances from this position. We'll go for Skyfire, targeting the back row, and from here we're going to set 1 card and pass once again. We are in control of the game. We have the monster that answers all others. We'll pop their Sangan. They're going to use Sangan to get Armageddon Knight, then they'll use Plagues to summon itself out. Set 3 and pass. Okay, that's a little too much for me to chew through. Ooh, but that might help. We'll go Skyfire to eat 1, then we'll go for the effect of Plagues, putting 1 back, so we can use it and the Mystic Tomato for a Goyo. They will Mirror Force here, and oh. Yeah, I guess there's no protection on this guy, so we just lose. They're going to go for Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight here is going to set a copy of Sirocco. Vayu here is going to banish Sirocco. We can at least chain our DD Crow, and then afterwards our opponent's going to get in for 14. In main 2, they will just go ahead and pass turn. We draw the Dark Creator, and guess what? We got 5 engrave! It's as good as it gets. Dark Creator into a copy of SK. They're going to go ahead and bottomless it, but guess what? You've got to out this 3,000 defense booty if you want any chance in this game. Okay, they outed it immediately. All right, they'll switch everything to attack position, go for the 4 and the 24, then in main phase 2 make a Stardust Dragon. This is very bad. We'll draw for turn. That's nothing. That's garbage. It's legitimately just junk. We will set a Trap Reactor EFE. They're going to go for Gale the Whirlwind, get in for 13, and put us on a hell of a clock. They're going to set 1 and pass turn. We'll draw its Rhoda. We'll go for Rhoda. Rhoda's going to go ahead and grab us a copy of Armageddon Knight. We'll normally Arma. I guess we could get over the Gale, but why even bother? Let's just go into the Stardust and expedite the process for our opponent. We're going to pass turn. They draw for turn. All right, let's get out of here, please. So we're back with the deck, and, well, what do you want me to say? The pros and cons? First, the pros. And the cons. Honestly, just start the video over. All in all, you're going to have to throw this to E3 or Gauge or something. There's no salvaging it from my perspective. See you around. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks even more to the patrons that make this content possible. Some of them have paid a lavish sum to be mentioned at the end of the video, so let's do that now. About 99 Donuts, Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Ally, Brett Henry, Cool Name, Dark Masters Orc, Derp and Dragon, DJ Elephant, FPS Lord Derp, John Piet, Killer Croc 467, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Lockstone, Luis Hernandez, Lullaby of Souls, Master of Faster, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Dolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nacho Gonzalez, Nax Juto, Nebula YGO, Project Mercury, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Who's Nick, and Wonder Waffle. I couldn't have done it without you.